And welcome back to Scissor Man Warrior. This is another patron roster review. This is Brewer Joosh. Now, Brewer Joosh is kind of a randomized Jedi name, so that's kind of a cool name, Brewer Joosh, from First Nation. So shout out to First Nation. Now, he's been mostly free to play, and once you look at his inventory, you'll see that's actually the case. Mostly free to play, and he's been playing since the very beginning. So pretty much like a month after it started, the game came out, he was on the game and playing. Now, a couple of things that I see. First is your fleet rank looks really good, actually. You're probably getting to the top 100, and you're using a good initial lineup. So we're going to talk about that. But I see your other arena team, and I see that it's just not doing so well, but you've been around since the beginning, so you're on a really tough leaderboard or shard to do that. You wanted me to talk about arena and ships both, so we're going to go into both of those. You said you had about 3 Zetas saved up, and you wanted to place those somewhere, and you wanted to know kind of my thoughts on the Zeta issues, and then also just kind of generalized focus where you should be focused on. So the first thing I'm going to note or notice here on your regular arena is that you have no tank and you have very little synergy. You've got some Sith, you have some Empire, and you have Jen Urso. She's pretty cool, but she doesn't have a whole lot of synergy there. And there's no tank, so people can freely target who they see fit and take out people how they want. So you're probably going to fall pretty good with them. Now, I know you've got them all maxed out, and they're most of your Gear 12 characters, but I am going to suggest to you that you do go ahead and move to the Emperor Palpatine-led Sith team. Now, I know you're not quite ready to do this, and things are going to move a little bit slower for you than they would for me, but I want you to Zeta, because you're wanting to know about the Zetas. Zeta, the level 7 leadership ability called Emperor of the Galactic Empire. That is going to make him a great lead. Now, this is why this is a good Zeta. You can use him as a leader in territory wars, territory battles, arena, all sorts of stuff, and he's got future potential with all of the future meta that we're seeing starting to play out. So I would highly recommend leadership of Emperor Palpatine being Zeted, and then put him in your leadership slot. Obviously, underneath him, you're going to have Darth Vader, and you have a Zeted Darth Sidious, so why not? Let's go ahead and put those 2 Sith underneath him, and then I would actually suggest putting in your Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion. Now, you're probably thinking they're not ready yet for the arena, and they're not, but you need to put them in your top 2 priorities list and get them up. They're 2 of the 3 pieces of the Sith Triumvirate, and just the 2 of them have phenomenal synergy, equally as good as anything like a Biggs and a Wedge or a Chirrut and a Baze. So I would definitely recommend you working on your Darth Nihilus and your Darth Sion and get both of them as high a gear as everybody else. Now, if they're hitting gear 10, you're going to be able to use them in arena pretty easily, and once you get them to gear 11 and eventually to gear 12, they're going to be even more overpowered. But I would definitely immediately start farming these 2 characters, so this team is a team you can evolve into eventually. If you're wanting to evolve into that team now and you don't want to quite wait, you could always go with Grand Moff Tarkin and Grand Admiral Thrawn underneath Emperor Palpatine. Now, I know that's still tankless, but Emperor Palpatine is going to speed the team up, as will Darth Vader, and then you'll have Grand Moff Tarkin there as a bit of an engine, if you will, creating tons and tons of debuffs that are going to expire, which are going to speed your team up, and then Grand Admiral Thrawn for the fracture and the ability to counter when he's in the process of fracturing someone. So I would say that you could, in the meantime, while you're waiting, go ahead and throw in Grand Admiral Thrawn and Grand Moff Tarkin, or you could even throw in TIE Fighter Pilot that you already have in your team with Grand Moff Tarkin, and your Empire Sith combination team could be utilized literally today if that was the case. So that I still recommend you go to Emperor Palpatine lead, Zeta that lead, and then move into immediately gearing up Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion. And when they get geared up, you will want to do the Zetas on both of those characters' uniques. Like I said, though, in the meantime, you could do Grand Moff Tarkin and Thrawn. But you will go from where you're at now in Arena to pretty easily, with the team that I am suggesting, into the top 100 or possibly even the top 75 or top 50, provided that you get them up to gear 11 and you get their speeds on their mods pretty good. Now, as far as ships go, you've got a decent team. I notice you're using Cassian in your initial lineup, and I can tell you Cassian is better served as a supporting cast that comes in out of reinforcements. So we're going to talk about just kind of tweaking your team and making it a little bit better. I would suggest you using Biggs like you are and Grand Moff Tarkin like you are, but I would actually suggest to you using your Imperial TIE Fighter because he's maxed out. So this is definitely going to be a great ship for you to utilize. And then Sun Fac, while he's not maxed out, he's an excellent tank and he can stun opposing ships. And that's really beneficial, kind of like Kylo Ren on Mask's ship. So definitely want to use him. And with a double tank and then the Imperial TIE Fighter dodgy in the front, it's going to make for a frustration because they're going to have to drag through all those 2 tanks or a dodgy ship to get into your reinforcements. And that hopefully will slow them down enough for you to get to your reinforcements on defense, which in my opinion, the best will be bringing in TIE Advanced as a reinforcement. And then after you bring in TIE Advanced, you're going to bring in Slave One's Boba Fett's ship because this has now Taunt. So this is really cool. And then I know you love your Cassian, so I would have him in the 3rd slot. And then for the last slot, I would use... That's right, Poe Dameron's X-Wing, one of the greatest damage-dealing ships in the game. Now, with that backup lineup, the thing is TIE Advanced. You're going to want all 4 of those ships, TIE Advanced, Boba Fett's ship Slave One, Cassian's U-Wing, and Poe's X-Wing. You're going to want all of their reinforcement abilities maxed out. Get them all up the 1st level and then get them all up the 2nd level. It's going to really make a huge difference when they're coming in from the backup. And then their basics. If you want to level their basics up, and when I'm talking about their basics, I mean literally like this ability right here. Their basic is what they're going to use the majority of the time. And so that is important to get the damage output up on all of your ships. And then, of course, if you can level up and finish off the crew powers for a lot of these, many of the crew powers for these ships are absolutely amazing. And as far as Grand Moff Tarkin goes, we're going to go ahead and look at his ship. I would highly suggest that you max this heavy ion cannon out next. And as soon as this is maxed out, move to this 4th one called Executive Order, maxing it out. And then lastly, coming back and doing Imperial Assault as the 3rd and final. Continue to go through the 2nd ability, 4th ability, and 3rd ability until they're maxed, just kind of like you did with the crew ability that you maxed out. But other than that, ships looks pretty good, and the lineup I gave you is going to be very durable. I think you know how to use all the ships that I just suggested. So let's go ahead and move over to what you should be focused on. Now, I'm going to give you kind of a hodgepodge list of both factions and characters that you should be working on. You are mostly free to play, so I don't want to give you too much to chew on, but I am going to tell you there are a few characters you should continue to gear, such as your BB-8 and Grand Admiral Thrawn. You can see they're both gear 9. Both of them are very overpowered characters that you will use in every single raid in the game, as well as territory battles, territory wars, and more. So I would highly recommend you get BB-8 and Grand Admiral Thrawn from gear 9 up to gear 11. And I would then also think about focusing on your First Order. Now, the reason why is for territory wars and territory battles. This is a very good team. You have them all 7 stars in gear 8 or above, which is an excellent beginning for a faction if you want to focus on a faction to work down. Now, if you were going to do that and you wanted to work on this, the very first thing I would do is put a Zeta, here we go, another Zeta that you might want to consider, on Kylo Ren Unmasked Leadership ability. That makes this team go from okay to amazing, even at gear 8. Then you're going to want to take the rest of the characters up to at least gear 10, where I see most of them are almost to gear 9 or gear 9, so pretty awesome. And then you would just need to go from gear 9 to gear 10. So basically 1.5 gear levels on these characters. And the team I would utilize is Kylo Ren Unmasked, Kylo Ren, First Order Officer, First Order Stormtrooper, and probably First Order TIE Pilot since he's already gear 10. Remember, you're free to play or mostly free to play. We don't want to have you go after things that are going to be a drag on your gear. So also you're going to be unlocking Jedi Training Rey extremely soon. I know you don't have her quite yet. And so when we come down to this, we know that you have the guys you got them maxed out. You got BB-8, you've got Rey Scavenger and Finn. So you're good to go with unlocking her and her events coming out. So pretty cool. You should be able to get her. And as soon as you have her, you're going to want to max her out as far as gear goes. She's, again, one of those overpowered tunes, just like Thrawn and BB-8, that you just want to max out. Other characters you may only want to go to level 8 or 9 with, but these characters I'm mentioning, definitely you want to go all the way with their character kit abilities. As far as Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion, I did mention you'd want to use them in Arena, and they're basically Gear 7 and Gear 8, and so you're going to want to get them up to Gear 10 at a minimum, and I would try to farm for their stars. If you can't unlock their node, then that's going to become a problem. Otherwise, just slow farm. I know it's going to take forever, 4 to 6 months, but I would highly focus on farming for their gear at a minimum. They're both excellent and will really, really help your arena team as we speak. And then for another faction, which I was kind of blown away, you're almost done with, is actually the Night Sisters. And the reason why I suggest this is you're looking for some factions, and both First Order and this faction, plus your Jedi Training Rey character, as well as BB-8, these are all characters that are going to score really, really high in the Sith raid. And even if you're not doing the highest tier of the Sith raid, you want to be able to, and you want to also be able to be really appealing to other guilds if and when you decided ever to go to a bigger or better guild. And if not, you want to be able to contribute to the existing guild that you're in, then this is the way to go. Night Sisters currently are the highest damage team in the Sith raid, and so they become hyper important at the end game. And while I wouldn't initially tell you to focus on it right away, you already have, and so because of that, I say they're very, very important. They're also going to help you with dark side territory battles. And I noticed when I looked, you had a lot of resistance and rebels done already and things like that. And so to create balance for yourself and for your roster, I would highly recommend you doing a lead on Asajj Ventress. I know you have her unique done already, but I would go ahead and Zeta her leader. So there's another Zeta for you to consider. And then I would use probably Talia, Old Daka, Mother Talzin, and then Zombie. So you will need to farm Talzin to 7 stars and Zombie to 7 stars, which you're 1 and 2 stars away respectively. And those would be the last characters I'd probably focus with this particular faction. So you've got 2 factions, Night Sisters and First Order. You've got characters that are overpowered, such as Thrawn, BB-8, Jedi Training Rey when you unlock her, and Darth Nihilus and Darth Sion. So once you focus on those characters, tweak your ships a little bit and continue to develop those ship pilots, you're going to really have things fall into place in both arenas. I'm really excited to see what happens in your main arena, and it is very cool. You have a Zeta Darth Sidious. You're definitely hardcore. Just stay focused on all of those things that I mentioned, and you will continue to climb in everything. If you have any other questions, you can always hit me up privately like you did for this particular video. And as always, if anybody else has comments for Barrier Joosh in the comment section, leave your ideas and that will get to him. Thank you so much. As always, keep your gaming on. Warrior out.